Stop for a moment and listen to me. Before you continue with your day, before you return to the worries that have been filling your mind, before you think again about everything that has not worked out the way you hoped, let your heart become still. You did not arrive here by accident. I know the weight you have been carrying. I know the questions you have been asking in silence. I know the prayers you have whispered when nobody was listening. I have seen the tears that fell when you tried to remain strong in front of everyone else. And I want you to hear this clearly today. You are not forgotten, you are not abandoned, and you are not walking through this season alone. There are moments when you look at your circumstances and wonder where I am. You pray and do not immediately see an answer. You ask me for direction and the road still seems uncertain. You ask me to remove the burden and somehow the burden remains for another day. But do not mistake a delayed answer for my absence. Do not measure my love by the speed at which circumstances change. I am working in places you cannot see, and I am also working within you. Sometimes you ask me to change your situation when I am first teaching you how to stand differently inside that situation. You ask me to remove the storm while I am teaching you how to keep your peace while the wind is still blowing. You ask me to open the door immediately while I am preparing your heart for what is on the other side. You ask me to give you the answer while I am teaching you to trust me even before you know the answer. My child, I want you to understand that faith is not the absence of questions. Faith is choosing to remain close to me while questions still exist. You do not need to understand everything today. You do not need to know how every problem will be solved. You do not need to see the entire road before you take the next faithful step. I only ask you to trust me with today. Look at your life carefully. There are things you have been carrying that were never meant to become permanent burdens. You have carried old conversations. You have carried the opinions of people who misunderstood you. You have carried guilt over mistakes you have already confessed. You have carried fear about tomorrow before tomorrow ever arrived. Release them. Bring them to me. When you pray, do not only tell me what you want me to change. Tell me what you are afraid of. Tell me what hurts. Tell me where you feel weak. Tell me what you do not understand. You do not have to hide anything from me because I already know what is inside your heart. Prayer is not a performance before me. Prayer is relationship. It is the place where you stop pretending that you can carry everything alone. When you kneel before me, when you close your eyes and speak my name, when you quietly surrender your worries, you are reminding your own heart that your circumstances are not greater than your Creator. There will be days when you feel strong and days when you feel exhausted. There will be mornings when hope comes easily and nights when you struggle to believe that anything will change. Do not condemn yourself because your emotions fluctuate. Instead, learn to return to me again and again. When fear returns, return to me. When disappointment returns, return to me. When temptation comes, return to me. When you receive good news, return to me with gratitude. When you receive difficult news, return to me for strength. Make returning to me your habit. Do not allow one difficult season to convince you that your entire life is hopeless. A chapter is not the whole story. A painful season is not your permanent identity. What happened yesterday does not have to dictate what you become tomorrow. You may have failed, but you are not failure. You may have been rejected, but rejection does not erase your worth. You may have lost something precious, but loss does not mean that your future has disappeared. You may have made wrong choices, but you can still choose a better direction. Today, I want you to stop speaking to yourself as though you have no future. Stop telling yourself that nothing will ever improve. Stop allowing one painful experience to become the lens through which you see everything. Your words matter because they shape what you repeatedly focus on. Instead of saying, I cannot handle this, begin saying, I will take this one day at a time. Instead of saying, everything is falling apart, say, I will remain faithful in what I can do today. Instead of saying, there is no way forward, say, I will seek wisdom and take the next step. This does not mean pretending that problems do not exist. It means refusing to give your problems the final word. I want you to become a person who can acknowledge difficulty without surrendering hope. There is something else I want you to practice. Forgive. Not because what happened was acceptable, Not because every person deserves immediate access to your life again. Not because boundaries are unnecessary. Forgiveness means refusing to allow another person's actions to permanently control the condition of your heart. You can forgive and still establish wise boundaries. You can love someone and still say no. You can release resentment without returning to an unhealthy situation. You can pray for someone without allowing them to repeatedly wound you. Wisdom and love can exist together. And if you are carrying guilt because of your own past, come honestly before me. Confess what needs to be confessed. Correct what needs to be corrected. Apologize where necessary. Make the change that you have been avoiding. But after you have genuinely turned away from what was wrong, do not spend the rest of your life punishing yourself. Learn, change, grow, continue. I am not calling you to remain trapped in yesterday. I am calling you to walk faithfully into tomorrow. The resurrection reminds you of something powerful. What appears finished is not always the end. The stone that seemed to mark the end of the story could not stop the life I brought forth. So when you look at something in your life and say, "It is over," be careful. You may be looking at a closed chapter while I am preparing a new beginning. You may be standing in a place of disappointment while I am developing perseverance inside you. Do not give up simply because you cannot yet see the result. Stay faithful. Keep praying. Keep working. Keep forgiving. Keep learning. Keep choosing what is right. And when you feel tired, rest without quitting. There is a difference between resting and surrendering your hope. Rest when your body needs rest. Be quiet when your mind needs quiet. Seek wise counsel when you need help, but do not allow exhaustion to make permanent decisions for you. I want you to make decisions from wisdom, not panic. Before reacting to a difficult message, pause. Before making a major decision because you are afraid, pray. Before believing every negative thought that enters your mind, examine it. Before assuming that someone hates you, seek clarity. Before deciding that your future is hopeless, remember how many times you have already survived things you once believed would destroy you. You are still here, and I have not finished teaching you. Stay with this message until the end, because I want these words to become more than something you hear. I want them to become something you practice. When this message finishes, choose one area of your life where fear has been controlling you and deliberately surrender that area to me. Then take one wise action instead of 10 anxious thoughts. If you agree that you will trust me even when you cannot see the entire path, write, "Yes, I trust God," in the comments. Let those words become your personal reminder today. And if this message has brought peace, encouragement, or hope into your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need encouragement today. If you feel blessed by these words and would like to help support this ministry, you can support the ministry through the link provided below. Your support can help these messages continue reaching people who are searching for hope, prayer, faith, and encouragement. Now take a deep breath. Release what you cannot control. Bring me what you cannot carry, and take the next step. You do not need to see the whole road. You only need enough light for the step in front of you. And I will be with you as you take it. There is something I want you to understand before you move forward. Not every season of your life will look the same, and not every season is meant to last forever. Some seasons are for planting, some are for waiting, some are for rebuilding, some are for receiving, and some are for letting go. If you are in a season that feels slow right now, do not assume that nothing is happening. Growth is often happening quietly before it becomes visible. You want answers quickly because uncertainty makes you uncomfortable. You want to know when the door will open, when the burden will end, when the relationship will change, when the financial pressure will disappear, and when the prayer you have repeated so many times will finally receive an answer. But I want you to learn something deeper than simply waiting for an outcome. I want you to learn how to become faithful while you wait. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. Waiting means continuing to do what is right while trusting me with what you cannot yet see. There are things you can do today that will prepare you for tomorrow. You can become more disciplined. You can become more patient. You can learn something new. You can repair a relationship where reconciliation is possible. You can take responsibility for your choices. You can stop wasting your time on things that produce nothing good. You can strengthen your prayer life. You can become more generous. You can control your words. You can take better care of the body and mind I have given you. You can organize your responsibilities instead of allowing them to overwhelm you. Do not wait for a perfect life before you begin living wisely. Many people keep saying, when things get better, then I will change. But change often begins before circumstances improve. You must become prepared before the opportunity arises. My child, there are doors you have prayed for that require a stronger version of you to walk through them. There are responsibilities you have asked me to place in your hands that require greater wisdom. There are blessings that must be handled with maturity. There are relationships that require patience. There are opportunities that require courage. So do not despise preparation. You may think the quiet season is punishment, but it may be preparation. You may think the delay means rejection, but it may be protection. You may think the closed door means failure, but it may be redirection. You cannot always understand what I am protecting you from, because you cannot see what would have happened on another road. Sometimes you cry because I did not give you what you wanted, only to discover later that what you wanted would have brought pain into your life. Sometimes you ask me to restore something that I allowed to end because you cannot yet see why it needed to end. Sometimes you hold tightly to a person, opportunity, plan, or expectation because you believe it is your only chance. But I want you to trust me enough to release what I ask you to release. Letting go does not mean giving up on life. Letting go means making room for wisdom. You cannot receive something new while your hands remain permanently closed around something old. Look at the areas of your life where you are constantly saying, I wish things were different. Now, ask yourself a better question. What can I do differently? That question gives you responsibility without giving you unnecessary guilt. You cannot control what another person chooses, but you can control how you respond. You cannot control the past, but you can learn from it. You cannot control tomorrow, but you can prepare today. You cannot control every circumstance, but you can choose whether fear or faith will guide your next decision. You cannot control whether everyone understands you, but you can live with integrity. This is where maturity begins. Do not spend your entire life trying to convince people of your worth. The people who truly belong in your life will not require you to constantly prove that you deserve respect. Walk humbly, but do not live desperately seeking approval. You were not created to spend every day comparing yourself with someone else. Another person's success is not evidence of your failure. Another person's blessing does not mean there is nothing available for you. Another person's journey is not your assignment. Comparison will make you overlook the gifts already present in your own life. You may be looking at someone else's harvest while forgetting that you are still planting seeds. You may be comparing your beginning with someone else's middle. You may be judging your life by a timeline that was never given to you. Stop measuring your worth by speed. Some things take time. A strong character takes time. A healthy relationship takes time. Wisdom takes time. Healing takes time. Discipline takes time. Trust takes time. And sometimes the slow process is producing something that a quick result never could. When you feel behind, remember that being delayed is not automatically being defeated. There are people who arrive early and people who arrive later. What matters is not whether your journey looks like everyone else's. What matters is whether you remain faithful to the path you have been given. I want you to become comfortable with taking one step at a time. You do not need to solve 10 problems tonight. Choose one. You do not need to change your entire life tomorrow. Change one habit. You do not need to repair every relationship immediately. Begin with the conversation you know you need to have. You do not need to understand every mystery. Accept what you cannot understand and remain faithful with what you do understand. This is how peace grows. Peace is not always created by having fewer problems. Sometimes peace grows because you have learned how to respond differently to problems. When something goes wrong, do not immediately assume that everything is going wrong. When someone disappoints you, do not immediately conclude that everyone will disappoint you. When one opportunity disappears, Do not decide that there will never be another. When you make one mistake, do not call yourself a failure. Learn to separate one event from your entire identity. One bad day is not a bad life. One mistake is not your entire story. One disappointment is not your destiny. One closed door is not the end of your journey. Keep moving, and while you move, keep your heart soft. Do not allow disappointment to turn into bitterness. Do not allow betrayal to make you incapable of trusting anyone. Do not allow rejection to make you reject yourself. Do not allow failure to make you afraid to try again. I want you to become wiser without becoming colder, stronger without becoming harder, more discerning without becoming suspicious of everyone, more confident without becoming proud, more humble without becoming insecure. This balance matters. There will always be voices around you telling you what you should fear, what you should chase, what you should become, and what you should believe about yourself. But you must learn to become still enough to recognize what is truly valuable. Not every opportunity deserves a yes. Not every invitation deserves your attention. Not every argument deserves your response. Not every criticism deserves your emotional energy. Sometimes wisdom sounds like silence. Sometimes courage sounds like no. Sometimes faith looks like waiting. Sometimes obedience looks like walking away. And sometimes love means setting a boundary. Do not be afraid to protect the peace I am teaching you to value. But remember that peace does not mean avoiding every difficult conversation. Sometimes peace comes after you finally face what you have been avoiding. If there is something you need to change, change it. If there is something you need to confess, confess it. If there is something you need to learn, learn it. If there is someone you need to forgive, begin releasing the resentment. If there is a responsibility you have been avoiding, face it. Do not keep asking me for a new season while refusing to prepare for it. Today, take one practical step. Clean what you have neglected. Finish what you have postponed. Make the call, write the plan, start the habit, open the book, pray again, try again, and trust that small faithful actions can become the foundation of a different future. If you believe that God can use even this season to prepare you for something greater, write "I will trust the process" in the comments. Let that sentence remind you that waiting does not mean wasting time. You are learning, growing, and becoming. Stay with me through the next part because there is another truth you need to understand. Sometimes the greatest battle is not what is happening around you. It is what is happening inside your mind. I want to teach you how to protect your peace when fear begins speaking louder than faith. Do not leave yet. Listen carefully. Your circumstances may be uncertain, but your next faithful step can still be clear. And when you cannot see what is ahead, take the step you can see. Then take another. Then another. You do not have to know the entire journey before you begin walking. Keep moving forward. Keep your heart open. Keep your faith alive. And remember that the season you are living through today does not have the authority to define the person you will become tomorrow. There are moments when you feel surrounded by noise. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone seems to know what you should do. One voice tells you to hurry. Another tells you to give up. Another tells you to follow your emotions. Another tells you to protect yourself at all costs. And somewhere inside all that noise, you are trying to hear the quiet direction that your heart truly needs. Today, slow down. You do not have to make every decision while you are afraid. You do not have to respond to every voice. You do not have to chase every opportunity. You do not have to explain yourself to everyone. Learn to become still. The story of the Holy Spirit coming upon Mary and the apostles reminds you of the power of divine guidance and spiritual strength. The disciples were not called to depend only on their own courage. They were strengthened for the work before them. In the same way, you are not expected to face every challenge through human strength alone. There are days when your own strength will feel insufficient. There are situations where intelligence alone will not give you peace. There are decisions where experience cannot guarantee the outcome. There are moments when you need wisdom beyond what you can produce by yourself. This is why I want you to learn the difference between reacting and discerning. Reaction is fast. Discernment is patient. Reaction asks, How do I escape this feeling? Discernment asks, what is the wise thing to do? Reaction says, I need to answer immediately. Discernment says, let me think, pray, and understand before I respond. Reaction is often driven by fear. Discernment seeks truth. You will save yourself from many unnecessary wounds when you stop making permanent decisions because of temporary emotions. When you are angry, wait. When you are deeply hurt, wait. When you are extremely excited, think carefully. When you feel pressured, step back. When someone demands an immediate answer, remember that you are allowed to consider your decision. Peace does not always mean that everything around you is peaceful. Sometimes peace means that you refuse to allow chaos around you to become chaos within you. My child, protect that inner peace. Not every person deserves access to every part of your life. Not every conversation needs your participation. Not every criticism deserves your attention. And not every accusation requires a defense. Sometimes silence is wiser than an argument. Sometimes walking away is wiser than proving your point. Sometimes forgiveness is wiser than revenge. Sometimes patience is wiser than immediate action. But do not confuse silence with weakness. There are moments when you must speak. There are moments when you must establish boundaries. There are moments when you must tell the truth. Wisdom does not mean avoiding difficult things. Wisdom means knowing how and when to face them. I want you to begin asking for wisdom before you ask for success. Because success without wisdom can become a burden. Money without discipline can disappear. Influence without character can destroy a person. Opportunity without preparation can become overwhelming. A relationship without healthy communication can become painful. So before you ask me for more, ask me to help you become ready for more. Ask me for patience. Ask me for self-control. Ask me for courage. Ask me for humility. Ask me for discernment. Ask me for compassion. Ask me for the strength to walk away from what is harmful. Ask me for the wisdom to recognize what is good. There will be times when you will not receive a clear answer immediately. When that happens, do not manufacture an answer simply because silence makes you uncomfortable. Wait, pray, seek wise counsel, look at the fruit of the decision, consider the consequences, examine your motives, then move forward carefully. You do not need to force what I have not asked you to force. There is a difference between persistence and desperation. Persistence continues faithfully. Desperation compromises wisdom just to obtain an outcome. Do not sacrifice your values merely because you are afraid of losing an opportunity. Do not betray your peace simply because you are afraid someone will leave. Do not abandon your integrity because you want approval. Do not compromise your convictions because you want to fit in. What you gain by abandoning your character will eventually cost you more than you expected. I want you to become someone who can say, I would rather wait than receive the wrong thing through the wrong means. That sentence requires strength. You may not understand why another person seems to advance faster than you. You may watch someone receive an opportunity while you are still waiting. You may see another person's life moving forward while yours seems quiet. Do not let comparison make you impatient. Your journey is not a competition. You are not required to copy someone else's timing. You are not required to reproduce someone else's success. You are required to be faithful with what has been placed in your hands. If you have a small responsibility, handle it well. If you have a small audience, serve them well. If you have limited resources, manage them wisely. If you have one opportunity, give it your best. Do not despise small beginnings. Great changes often begin with decisions that nobody else notices. One honest conversation, one disciplined morning, one prayer, one apology, one boundary. One decision to stop returning to the same destructive pattern, one decision to forgive, one decision to stop speaking negatively about yourself, one decision to begin again. These choices may seem small, but repeated choices become alive. Therefore, watch what you repeat. If you repeatedly choose fear, fear becomes familiar. If you repeatedly choose resentment, resentment becomes familiar. If you repeatedly choose gratitude, gratitude becomes familiar. If you repeatedly choose prayer, prayer becomes familiar. If you repeatedly choose patience, patience becomes stronger. Your life is being shaped not only by the major moments, but also by the ordinary decisions you make every day. So today, choose carefully. When someone irritates you, choose your response. When something goes wrong, choose your attitude. When you are tempted to quit, choose to pause before making a final decision. When you receive criticism, take what is useful and release what is destructive. When you receive praise, remain humble. When you receive an opportunity, examine it carefully. When you experience disappointment, do not immediately call it defeat. There is something else you must learn. You are allowed to grow. You do not have to remain the person you were 5 years ago. You do not have to repeat the emotional patterns you learned in difficult seasons. You can become more patient. You can become more disciplined. You can become more peaceful. You can become more courageous. You can become wiser. You can learn to communicate differently. You can learn to handle money differently. You can learn to respond to conflict differently. You can learn to forgive differently. You can learn to pray differently. Growth is evidence that you have not surrendered. And when you fall, do not stay on the ground simply because you are ashamed that you fell. Get up, learn, pray, continue. I do not want you to spend your life looking backward at every mistake. Look back only long enough to learn the lesson, then turn your attention toward the road ahead. There is still work to do. There are still people you can encourage. There are still lessons you can learn. There are still acts of kindness you can offer. There are still prayers you can pray. There are still opportunities to become the person you were created to become. And when you feel that you cannot do it alone, remember that you were never meant to live entirely through your own strength. Pause and pray. Say, Lord, give me wisdom for this decision. Give me patience for this season. Give me courage for this conversation. Give me strength for this responsibility. And help me recognize what is truly good for my life. Then listen. Do not rush away from the silence. Sometimes the most important thing you can learn is simply how to become quiet enough to recognize what matters. If you believe that you need God's wisdom more than your own understanding, write Lord, lead me in the comments. Let it be a simple declaration that you are choosing guidance over impulse and wisdom over fear. And remember this throughout your day, you do not have to win every argument. You do not have to answer every accusation. You do not have to chase every opportunity. You do not have to prove your worth. Walk with wisdom, speak with grace, work with diligence, pray with faith. And when you do not know what comes next, take the next right step. Stay with this message until the end, because there is still another lesson you need to carry into your life. I want to speak to you about what happens when you have been waiting for a long time and your heart begins to wonder whether your prayers have been heard. Do not leave because the answer has not arrived yet. Sometimes the deepest work happens during the waiting. Sometimes the greatest transformation begins when you finally stop demanding that everything happen according to your timetable. Keep praying, keep trusting, keep growing, keep walking, and above all, keep your heart open to the guidance that leads you toward truth, wisdom, love, humility, and peace. There is a season in life when waiting becomes difficult. At first, you wait with hope. Then, you wait with patience. After some time, you begin asking questions. You wonder whether you heard me correctly. You wonder whether your prayer mattered. You wonder whether the opportunity has passed. You wonder whether the answer will ever come. But listen to me carefully today. Your waiting is not wasted. I know how long you have been waiting. I know the prayer you have repeated so many times that you have almost stopped expecting an answer. I know the dream you placed before me. I know the relationship you hoped would be restored. I know the financial breakthrough you have asked for. I know the healing you desire. I know the direction you need. I know the future you are afraid to imagine because disappointment has taught you to lower your expectations. But do not allow disappointment to become your permanent language. There is a difference between being realistic and surrendering hope. Being realistic means acknowledging what is happening. Surrendering hope means believing that what is happening now is all that can ever happen. Do not make that mistake. You only see today. I see what today can become. You see the delay. I see what may be developing through the delay. You see the closed door. I see roads you have not yet considered. You see the weakness. I see an opportunity for strength to grow. You see the unanswered question. I see a lesson in patience, wisdom, and trust. My child, I want you to stop believing that every delay is a denial. Sometimes waiting protects you from receiving something before you are ready to handle it. Sometimes waiting gives you time to mature. Sometimes waiting allows another person to change. Sometimes waiting redirects your attention towards something more important. And sometimes waiting simply teaches you to trust without demanding immediate evidence. Waiting can reveal what is inside your heart. When everything happens quickly, you may believe that you are patient. But when the answer takes longer than expected, you discover whether your patience was genuine. When everyone agrees with you, you may think you are secure. But when someone disagrees with you, you discover whether your confidence depends on approval. When everything is going well, you may think you are grateful. But when circumstances become difficult, you discover whether gratitude was connected only to comfort. Difficult seasons reveal things that comfortable seasons can hide. Do not hate every difficult season. Some seasons are teachers. Some disappointments teach you boundaries. Some failures teach you humility. Some delays teach you patience. Some losses teach you what truly matters. Some closed doors teach you that your identity cannot depend on one opportunity. Some lonely moments teach you to become comfortable with your own thoughts and to seek deeper spiritual strength. You may not thank God for the pain itself, but you can allow the pain to produce wisdom. That is important. Do not waste your suffering. If you are hurting, ask what you can learn. If you are disappointed, ask what needs to change. If you are waiting, ask what you can prepare. If you have lost something, ask what remains. If someone walked away, ask what the experience taught you about yourself. If you failed, ask what the failure can teach you before you try again. These questions do not erase pain, but they can prevent pain from becoming meaningless. And while you wait, do not stop living. This is one of the greatest mistakes people make. They say, when my prayer is answered, then I will be happy. When I get married, then I will enjoy life. When I have more money, then I will have peace. When my family changes, then I will be content. When I get the job, then I will feel valuable. But I want you to learn how to live faithfully before the answer arrives. There are beautiful moments happening in your life right now that you may be overlooking because you are focused entirely on what is missing. Notice them. Notice the people who still love you. Notice the meal in front of you. Notice the breath in your lungs. Notice the opportunity to begin again. Notice the lessons you have learned. Notice the strength you have developed. Notice the prayers that have already been answered in ways you once overlooked. Gratitude does not mean that you stop wanting improvement. Gratitude means that you refuse to become blind to what is already good while waiting for what is not yet here. Practice gratitude daily. Before you sleep, name 3 things you are thankful for. When you wake up, give thanks for another day. When something small goes right, acknowledge it. When someone helps you, express appreciation. When you have an opportunity to help someone else, do it. Gratitude trains your attention, and what you repeatedly focus on becomes powerful in your emotional life. If you constantly focus on what is missing, your mind will become trained to search for lack. If you intentionally notice what is good, your mind becomes better at recognizing grace. This does not mean ignoring serious problems. It means refusing to allow problems to become the only things you can see. There is another thing I want you to do while you wait. Prepare. If you are praying for a better financial situation, learn to manage what you already have. If you are praying for a new opportunity, develop your skills now. If you are praying for a healthier relationship, learn how to communicate with honesty and kindness. If you are praying for greater responsibility, become more disciplined with your current responsibilities. If you are praying for a new season, stop repeating the habits of the old one. Preparation is an expression of faith. You are saying, I do not know exactly when the opportunity will come, but I want to be ready when it does. Do not sit beside a locked door for years while ignoring the work that can be done inside you. Grow while you wait. Learn while you wait. Pray while you wait. Serve while you wait. Forgive while you wait. Build while you wait. Rest when necessary, but keep becoming. There will be moments when you feel like giving up. When that happens, do not make a permanent decision during a temporary emotional storm. Give yourself time. Sleep, pray, talk to someone wise. Step outside, breathe, write down what you are feeling, then return to the decision when your mind is clearer. You do not need to destroy your future because today feels painful. You do not need to quit because one day was difficult. You do not need to abandon your values because you are tired of waiting. Remain faithful. There is strength in continuing without applause. There is strength in doing what is right when nobody is watching. There is strength in refusing to become bitter. There is strength in choosing forgiveness when revenge would be easier. There is strength in continuing to pray when you have no evidence yet. There is strength in getting up again. And remember that the glorified mysteries remind you that the story of faith is not centered only on suffering. Resurrection points toward life beyond what appeared to be final, and ascension points toward a reality greater than what could be seen on earth. So do not judge your entire story by the chapter you are currently living. You are still becoming. You are still learning. You are still walking. You are still being shaped. Today, I want you to choose patience over panic. When you feel the urge to force something, pause. When you feel the urge to quit, wait before deciding. When you feel the urge to compare yourself with someone else, return your attention to your own path. When you feel forgotten, remember how many times you have already been carried through difficult seasons. If you agree that you will keep trusting God, even while you wait, write, "I will not give up," in the comments. Let those words remind you that waiting does not mean standing still. You can keep growing while you wait. And stay with me through the final part, because I want to speak to you about something that many people forget after they receive encouragement. What you do with the message after the video ends. Faith must become action. Peace must become a practice. Prayer must become a lifestyle. Forgiveness must become a decision. Trust must become visible through the way you live. Do not listen to these words only for a few minutes and then return to the same patterns that have been exhausting you. Take one lesson, apply it, then take another. You do not need to transform everything overnight. Start with one faithful decision, one peaceful response, one disciplined habit, one honest prayer, one act of forgiveness, one step forward, and when tomorrow comes, take another. Your waiting is not wasted. Your preparation matters. Your faith matters. Your choices matter. Keep going. Listen to me one more time because I want these words to remain with you long after this message ends. You have heard me speak about fear, waiting, wisdom, surrender, preparation, and perseverance. Now I want you to understand what all of these things are leading toward. I am teaching you how to live with faith, not only how to speak about faith. I am teaching you how to carry peace into your home, patience into your relationships, wisdom into your decisions, courage into your difficulties, and hope into every uncertain season. You have spent enough time believing that your life must become perfect before you can have peace. It will not. There will always be something that requires your attention. There will always be another decision to make, another challenge to face, another person to understand, another responsibility to carry. If you wait for every problem to disappear before you allow your heart to rest, you will spend your life waiting. Learn to rest in me while you continue moving forward, my child. You do not need to have everything figured out to live faithfully today. You do not need to know exactly what next year will bring. You do not need to understand why every door opened or closed. You do not need to know why some prayers were answered differently than you expected. You need to know where you will place your trust while you continue walking. Place it in me. There will be days when your faith feels strong and days when you feel uncertain. When your faith feels strong, remain humble. When you feel weak, do not run away from prayer. Come closer. When you feel joyful, give thanks. When you feel sorrow, bring your sorrow honestly before me. When you experience success, remember who helped you along the way. When you experience failure, remember that failure does not remove your ability to begin again. I want you to stop defining yourself by your worst moment. You are more than the mistake you made. You are more than the rejection you experienced. You are more than the money you lost. You are more than the relationship that ended. You are more than the opportunity you missed. You are more than the words someone spoke against you. Learn from what happened, but do not build your permanent identity around it. There is still life ahead of you. There are still lessons to learn. There are still people to encourage. There are still opportunities to serve. There are still moments of joy you have not experienced. There are still prayers you have not yet prayed. There are still things within you that need to grow, so do not close your heart because of yesterday. The glorious mysteries in the prayer that inspired this message point toward hope, spiritual strength, heaven, and the honor given to Mary. The final mystery reflects the coronation of the Blessed Virgin Mary as Queen of Heaven and Earth. This reminds you that faith does not end in fear. The journey points beyond the present struggle toward hope and the greatness of what is eternal. Therefore, do not let temporary circumstances become your entire vision. Look higher. When your circumstances tell you that everything is falling apart, remember that your life is larger than one circumstance. When your finances are difficult, remember that money is a tool, not your identity. When someone rejects you, remember that human approval is not the measure of your worth. When you are lonely, remember that loneliness is a season, not necessarily your permanent future. When you are waiting, remember that waiting is not proof that you have been forgotten. And when you are afraid, remember that courage does not mean you feel no fear. Courage means you refuse to allow fear to make every decision for you. Today, I want you to practice something simple. Before you react, pause. Before you complain, look for one thing to be grateful for. Before you judge, seek understanding. Before you speak harshly, ask whether your words will bring healing or unnecessary damage. Before you make a major decision, pray. Before you give up, remember how far you have already come. Before you believe the thought that says you are worthless, challenge it with truth. Before you return to an old destructive pattern, remember why you left it. These small pauses can change the direction of your life. Do not underestimate small choices. A life is built one decision at a time. Peace is built one peaceful response at a time. Discipline is built one disciplined action at a time. Trust is built through repeated faithfulness. Character is built when you choose what is right even when nobody is watching. And spiritual growth happens when you repeatedly choose to return to me. I also want you to understand the importance of community. Do not try to carry every burden alone. There are times when you need wise people around you. Seek people who encourage truth, humility, responsibility, compassion, and faith. Avoid building your life around voices that constantly increase fear, anger, envy, or bitterness. The people you listen to influence the way you think. The things you repeatedly consume influence your emotions. The conversations you repeatedly participate in influence your attitudes. Therefore, be intentional. Protect your mind, protect your heart, protect your time, not because you are afraid of the world, but because you understand the value of what I have entrusted to you. And remember that protecting your peace does not mean becoming selfish. Use your peace to become a source of peace for others. Encourage someone who is discouraged. Forgive where forgiveness is appropriate. Help someone who is struggling. Listen without immediately judging. Give without expecting applause. Speak hope to someone who has forgotten how to hope. Your faith becomes more powerful when it moves beyond words and becomes visible through your actions. Do not ask only, "What can God do for me?" Also ask, "How can I become a blessing to someone today?" Perhaps the answer is a simple message. Perhaps it is helping someone. Perhaps it is being patient with a family member. Perhaps it is giving someone another chance. Perhaps it is refusing to participate in gossip. Perhaps it is encouraging a person who feels invisible. Perhaps it is simply listening. Never underestimate the power of small acts done with sincere love. And when you serve others, do not forget yourself completely. Rest, recover, pray. Take care of your responsibilities. There is wisdom in recognizing your limits. You are not required to solve everyone's problems. You can care without carrying everything. You can love without controlling. You can serve without destroying yourself. You can forgive without removing healthy boundaries. You can be generous while still being responsible. This is balanced faith. And when you reach the end of this message, do not say, "That was beautiful," and then forget it. Choose something. Choose one thing you will apply today. Maybe you will stop worrying about something you cannot control. Maybe you will forgive someone. Maybe you will begin a habit you have postponed. Maybe you will return to prayer. Maybe you will make a wise financial decision. Maybe you will have the conversation you have been avoiding. Maybe you will finally stop comparing your journey with someone else's. Whatever it is, begin. Because knowledge without action changes very little. You have heard enough words. Now, let the words become practice. If you believe that God is leading you into a season of greater faith, wisdom, peace, and purpose, write, "I believe and I will keep walking," in the comments. Let it be your declaration that you will not allow fear, delay, disappointment, or past mistakes to decide your future. And if this message has encouraged your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that they are not alone. If these words have brought you comfort and you feel happy to support this ministry, you can support the ministry through the link provided below. Your support helps this message continue reaching people who are searching for prayer, encouragement, hope, and faith. But most importantly, do not make your faith dependent on a video. Pray when the video is finished. Open your heart, speak honestly, listen quietly, and carry the lesson into your everyday life. When tomorrow becomes difficult, remember what you heard today. When fear returns, choose trust. When disappointment returns, choose hope. When anger rises, choose wisdom. When temptation comes, choose your values. When you are tired, rest without surrendering. When you fall, rise again. When you receive a blessing, remain grateful. When you enter a new season, remain humble. And when you do not know what comes next, take the next faithful step. You do not need to see the entire road. You do not need to understand every delay. You do not need to control every outcome. You only need to remain faithful with what is in front of you. Remember that prayer is not wasted. Your tears are not meaningless. Your waiting is not automatically wasted. Your growth matters. Your choices matter. Your character matters. Your faith matters. And your life can become a testimony, not because everything was easy, but because you learned how to keep walking through difficult seasons without allowing them to destroy your hope. So go forward today. Go forward with patience. Go forward with wisdom. Go forward with humility. Go forward with courage. Go forward with love. Go forward with prayer. And when you look back one day, you may realize that the season you once wanted to escape was also the season that taught you how to stand. I am not asking you to understand everything. I am asking you to trust. I am not asking you to control everything. I am asking you to surrender. I am not asking you to become perfect overnight. I am asking you to keep growing. I am not asking you to know the whole future. I am asking you to be faithful today. So breathe deeply. Release the fear. Release the resentment. Release the need to control every outcome. Take the next step, and then take another. Let your life become a prayer through the way you live. Let your words carry grace. Let your decisions carry wisdom. Let your actions carry love. Let your waiting carry patience. Let your difficulties produce perseverance. And let your faith continue shining even when the road is not easy. You have come this far. Do not stop now. Keep praying. Keep believing. Keep growing. Keep walking. And above everything else, keep your heart turned toward God. Amen.